The Young and the Restless spoilers. Clare, too obsessed with Grandpa Victor's approval, needs to put Kyle first. The Young and the Restless spoilers for the next 2 weeks, May 12 to May 23, reveal that Phyllis Summers will have a message for Aristotle Dumas, while Amanda Sinclair and Abby Winters face off. Jack Abbott will also deliver an incredible gift, so here's what Y&R fans can look forward to. The week of May 12 to 16 will bring Phyllis' attempt at an alliance with Victor Newman. Phyllis will have knowledge related to Billy Abbott's new strategy, which will involve putting Dumas and Victor against each other. Victor will have to decide if he's willing to meet Phyllis' terms and strike a deal, but he'll intensify his efforts to go after Billy either way. The dirtier Victor plays, the more concerned Sally Spectra will get about Billy's obsession with payback. It could lead to bad news for Billy both personally and professionally. As for Tessa Porter, she'll make a prediction about getting through their marriage rough patch if Maria Copeland will just open up. Unfortunately, Maria won't admit what exactly she needs to be forgiven for and will once again distance herself from Tessa, who'll seek Daniel Romalotti-Jur's support. While Chelsea Lawson and Adam Newman face more couple issues related to their working arrangement, Nate Hastings will have some nagging worries about Damian Kane joining Winters. Elsewhere, Jack and Diane Jenkins Abbott discuss Kyle Abbott, who could be headed back down a dangerous road. Kyle has made plenty of mistakes that set him up for heartache, so Diane and Jack will worry about their son repeating them. As for Nick Newman, he might be tempted to repeat the past in a different way. Nick will land in territory that's awfully familiar, so we'll see that involves his growing connection with Sharon Newman. Sharon will also catch up with Phyllis, who'll eventually find a way to get in touch with Aristotle Dumas. Although Phyllis presumably won't speak with Dumas directly, she'll at least try to contact him, and may pass along a message through his assistant. However, it should be Dumas' attorney who shakes things up, since all signs point to Amanda being his legal representation when she returns on May 16. Nate, Devin Winters, and Lily Winters are all in for a shock. During the week of May 19 to 23, Amanda will reconnect with Phyllis and ultimately have an encounter with Abby as well. Once Amanda pushes Abby's buttons, the tension between them will be hard to miss. Of course, Amanda will face plenty of questions about Dumas' agenda, but she won't betray her client's confidence as she helps him set up some power plays. As for Clare Newman, she'll do some planning for Nikki Newman's birthday and will apparently even reach out to a party planner before the month's over. Clare will want to prove her happiness with Kyle at a relaxed family gathering, but Victor will remain awfully hard to wear down. On May 21, there will be a fun episode that's all about romance. 3 couples will be featured, so let's run down the list of which sizzling duos will take center stage. Michael Baldwin will prove to Lauren Baldwin that their relationship comes first, so could he finally grant her wish and decide to quit working for Victor? Regardless, Victor and Nikki Newman will spend some time celebrating their own romantic history, while Jack presents Diane with an incredible gift. Jack will want to show Diane just how grateful he is for the renovations, so he might offer up something like a portrait of her or even one of them as a couple. It could be the finishing touch that completes the newly remodeled Abbott living room. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Clare Newman has become obsessed with Grandpa Victor Newman's approval. So is she taking it too far? Does Clare need to let go and put Kyle Abbott first at this point? Clare spent her childhood longing for a loving family to accept her, but all she got was Jordan and her harsh manipulation. It's easy to see why Clare would want Victor's blessing on her relationship, especially since this is the one issue that's rocking the boat. Victor supports Clare's career and all the ways she's broken free of Jordan. Clare has earned Victor's approval in every area except her love life, so we get why Clare would want to fix that. At the same time, Clare needs to accept that some things are beyond her control. Everyone else is on board with Clare and Kyle's romantic future, so why can't that be enough? In my and ours May 12 episode, Kyle himself will question Clare's fixation on Victor's blessing. Clare will open up about admiring Victor's rise from the orphanage to where he is now, and the gratitude she feels over his willingness to accept her as a Newman. Even so, Clare needs to take a step back and see that she's letting this whole Victor situation spiral out of control. Kyle will point out that it sometimes feels like there are 3 people in this relationship, and he's right about that. Victor is like a forever third wheel, since Clare can't stop fixating on his complaints and trying to figure out ways to fix this. The week of May 12 to 16 will bring yet another presumably pointless strategy, since Clare will want to team up with Kyle and make Victor see how happy they are together. Clare will ultimately come up with a party plan and try to use it as the perfect opportunity to show Victor how wonderful her relationship is. However, this strategy could backfire if it ends up riling Victor up even more than before. Will there come a time when Clare just has to accept that Victor's approval isn't going to happen here? Clare might be happier if she just let go of her need for Victor to bless her romance. We'd say Clare needs to start living her own life and putting her relationship with Kyle above the one she has with her grandfather. Since Victor is plotting against Clare and Kyle with Audra Charles' help, that might prove something to Clare down the road. Victor has been making predictions about Kyle's downfall, but it could be his bond with Clare that faces the most damage. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Clare may make some updates to her perspective on Victor sooner or later, so we'll bring you more news on any brewing changes. Eric Braden, known far and wide as the indomitable Victor Newman on Young and the Restless, has proven once again that he's just as much of a fighter off-screen as he is on it. The 83-year-old actor took to Instagram to deliver the kind of update fans have been hoping for. He's tough, he's strong, and he's going to keep showing the world he's tough. In April 2023, Braden shocked viewers when he revealed his diagnosis of bladder cancer. The news sent shockwaves through the soap community, but if there's one thing fans know about Victor Newman, it's that surrender simply isn't in his vocabulary. Sporting a sweatsuit and his boxing gloves, Braden beamed in a short boxing video where he dominated the punching bag. His message was simple: F cancer, 84 and going. True to form, he's not slowing down. Braden hinted that he's feeling stronger by the day, and his on-screen presence has remained steady. Victor Newman is still wheeling, dealing, and threatening to destroy anyone who dares cross him in Genoa City. Fans who feared he might step back from the role can breathe a sigh of relief. Eric's still in the game, and he's playing to win. Though cancer came knocking, it clearly picked the wrong guy. From the sounds of it, Eric's not only back, he might just be more motivated than ever. Maybe it's the spirit of the great Victor Newman rubbing off, or maybe it's just the unstoppable energy of a man who's made resilience a lifestyle. Either way, don't expect him to go quietly into the night. As Eric himself might say, the mustache isn't going anywhere. You got that. The Young and the Restless spoilers update for Monday, March 12, reveals that Billy Abbott will plan to fuel Aristotle Dumas and Victor Newman's hostility, while Clare Newman makes a pitch to Kyle Abbott. At the coffee house, Phyllis Summers will vent to Daniel Rumalotti Jr. about Sally Spectra taking over her old position at Abbott Communications. Even so, Y and R spoilers say Phyllis will assure Daniel that she's putting Billy's company behind her. Since Phyllis will prove relentless when it comes to building a new empire with Daniel, he'll be willing to mull it over if she can find something that interests him. In the park, Tessa Porter will push Maria Copeland to open up about why she's working all the time and avoiding her. It'll be obvious that something's bothering Mariah, so Tessa will push her wife to let her in. Maria will allude to some issues regarding Ian Ward, so Tessa will end up thinking Mariah can't forgive her for letting Ian pull the wool over her eyes. Tessa will apologize and suggest counseling to get through this, but Maria will basically admit she's the one who needs forgiveness here. Although Tessa will beg Maria to tell her what happened, Maria will only blurt out an "I'm sorry" as she runs away. Once Daniel comes along and finds an upset Tessa, he'll put an arm around her as she lets her tears flow. At society, Billy will have a scheme that Sally finds alarming, but Billy will make confident predictions and downplay the risks. It turns out Billy will want to put Aristotle Dumas' bullseye on Victor and fan the flames of their rivalry. Although Billy previously wanted Dumas' help getting Chancellor back, now he'll be more interested in Victor's takedown. Billy will suggest he can be a delighted spectator while Dumas and Victor have the ultimate battle, one that he expects Dumas will win. Sally will worry about what'll happen if Victor finds out Billy's role in all this, but Billy will think he can stay far enough away from the drama to avoid being the fall guy. While Billy's talking about Victor getting what he deserves courtesy of Dumas, Phyllis will listen in on the conversation nearby and gain some valuable intel. Back in the park, Claire will tell Kyle they need to hang out with Victor as a couple more. The goal will be to show off their romantic bliss at some happy family events and slowly get Victor on their side. Kyle will think it's a bit naive to believe that's going to change Victor's mind, especially considering how deep his hatred runs for the Abbotts. When Kyle questions why Claire is so stuck on getting Victor's blessing, she'll reflect on Victor accepting her into the family and how much that means to her. Claire will mention that Newman saw Victor's furious reaction to their move-in decision, which led to her advice to pump the brakes a little. Kyle will object when he gets updates on that news. However, Claire will note that it's not forever, it's just until they can make some progress with Victor. Kyle will think they need to be able to make their own decisions as a couple, but he'll eventually surrender to at least trying Claire's latest suggestions. In the upcoming episode of The Young and the Restless, airing Monday, May 12, 2025, the complex dynamics within Genoa City take a dark turn as Victor Newman, long regarded as a master strategist, finds himself unraveling under a weight of his past, mounting threats, and an increasingly volatile temperament. Victor, once a symbol of control and authority, now faces a credibility crisis. His transformation from calculated businessman to unrestrained aggressor is alarming those closest to him. The pressure from internal family conflicts and corporate rivals, most notably Billy Abbott, is mounting. Billy is determined to make Victor face the consequences of his past actions, intensifying the long-standing Newman-Abbott rivalry. Compounding Victor's problems is an anonymous threat, Dumas, who claims to possess damning evidence of Victor's criminal past. This looming exposure could dismantle both his family ties and his corporate empire. Even worse, Dumas is not a random antagonist, but someone with deep historical ties to Victor, an individual he believed was buried in the past. As Dumas threatens to reveal devastating secrets, including the existence of a child Victor kept hidden, Nikki may soon uncover truths that could end their marriage. Long-term betrayal and emotional deceit may finally destroy the bond that once anchored the Newman patriarch. Victor's increasing reliance on threats and intimidation alienates his family and allies. His relationships with Adam Newman, Michael Baldwin, and even Jack and Kyle Abbott are deteriorating rapidly under the weight of his unchecked aggression. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers finds herself in over her head. Her persistent meddling and curiosity have led her straight into Dumas's web. Initially seeking information on Billy Abbott's dealings, Phyllis now faces threats from Dumas himself, an imposter willing to use force to protect his secrets. As she continues her dangerous pursuit, Tucker McCall becomes involved. Aware of Phyllis's proximity to his own schemes, Tucker won't hesitate to neutralize her if necessary. Phyllis, once the clever manipulator, is now a vulnerable target in a game run by more dangerous players. Despite warnings from her daughter Summer, Phyllis persists in her quest for the truth. Summer, increasingly concerned for her mother's safety, contemplates stepping in. But with Phyllis already deep into the shadows of Genoa City's power struggles, it may be too late. As Victor's explosive temper intensifies, the once celebrated patriarch appears to be destroying everything he built: family, respect, and influence. His repeated outbursts alienate loved ones and threaten the empire he spent decades constructing. Longtime allies begin to withdraw, raising the question: is Victor becoming his own worst enemy? Despite his reputation for power and resilience, Victor now faces a different kind of battle, one that requires introspection rather than intimidation. To survive, he may need to reevaluate his methods and restore a sense of reason before losing everything. Monday's episode paints a grim portrait of Genoa City's power players. As Victor spirals and Phyllis teeters on the brink of disaster, the lines between loyalty and betrayal blur. The stakes are higher than ever, and the consequences of every decision could be permanent. In a shocking turn of events on The Young and the Restless, long-buried secrets have surfaced, threatening to dismantle key relationships. The emotional fallout from a single night of betrayal between Maria and Devon sends shockwaves through Genoa City as Abby uncovers the truth and Maria grapples with overwhelming guilt. Tension has been building for weeks as Maria begins acting out of character, hiding something significant from her partner, Tessa. Her vague responses and emotional distance prompt Tessa to investigate, leading to the devastating revelation that Maria is pregnant and the father is Devon. What was intended to be a fleeting lapse in judgment now carries life-altering consequences. Meanwhile, Abby grows increasingly suspicious of Devon's behavior. His emotional detachment and physical absence signal something amiss. Determined to uncover the truth, Abby follows Devon and inadvertently overhears a private conversation between him and Maria. The revelation that Maria is expecting Devon's child leaves Abby stunned, betrayed, and furious. Her confrontation is explosive. Abby's world, carefully built on trust and love, collapses in an instant. Devon's attempts to explain are futile. Abby sees his betrayal as unforgivable, casting doubt on the future of their relationship. As Abby reels from the betrayal, Maria is also struggling. Though she wants to confide in Tessa, the fear of judgment and shame keep her silent. Tessa, desperate to salvage their bond, pleads for honesty, but Maria remains emotionally withdrawn, unable to articulate her internal conflict. Tessa's heartbreak deepens as she watches the woman she loves drift further away. Despite her pain, she continues to fight for their connection, urging Maria to open up. But Maria, burdened by trauma from her past, including painful memories of Ian Ward, finds herself emotionally paralyzed. With Maria unwilling to share, Tessa finds unexpected comfort in a moment of vulnerability with Daniel. As she breaks down over her partner's secrecy, Daniel offers a listening ear and quiet support. This gesture, though small, becomes a crucial lifeline for Tessa, who feels increasingly isolated. Maria is trapped between guilt, fear, and the love she still holds for Tessa. She knows that her silence is eroding the foundation of their relationship, but she cannot find the courage to face the truth. As she sits alone, weighed down by remorse, the question remains: will she allow Tessa back into her world, or will the secrecy and emotional distance become irreparable? Similarly, Abby must decide whether she can forgive Devon, or if this betrayal marks the end of their marriage. With emotions running high and trust broken, the future for all involved remains uncertain. This storyline highlights the emotional complexity of betrayal, secrecy, and forgiveness. With multiple relationships on the brink, The Young and the Restless delivers a powerful narrative exploring how love can be tested when the truth comes to light. The Young and the Restless spoiler indicate that Victor Newman may need to calm down his rants when things are not going this way. Every time Victor gets upset with someone, he begins to rant and rave like he is totally losing control. Victor is being mean and threatening, ordering people away from his loved ones. Should he tone things down a bit? Victor is beginning to act like Ian Ward when it comes to his possessiveness of Clare Newman. Victor has been against everything Clare has done since he learned that she was his granddaughter. Victor got Clare released early from a mental institution, and then got upset because she wanted to be a nanny. Now that Clare is working with Newman, Victor still believes that he should be telling Clare what to do. Clare started dating Kyle Abbott and Victor was furious. Victor is now going overboard with his grandfatherly concern as Clare and Kyle plan to move in together. Now Victor is insisting that Clare has to choose sides because she cannot be with an Abbott and act as a Newman. Victor hates Kyle and has tried to destroy him time and again. Clare has still continued her relationship with Kyle. Even Summer Newman tried to break these two up to no avail. Clare and Kyle have declared their love for each other, and that should be good enough for everyone. However, according to Victor, he forbids Clare to be with Kyle. Clare has tried time and again to sway Victor's opinion, but he is not willing to budge on the subject. Victor is even trying to defend his actions to his family. For someone who is upset that Jordan Howard raised his granddaughter, Victor seems to have taken over when it comes to controlling Clare's life. Clare and Kyle should pack up and take off to parts unknown and live the way they want instead of Clare trying to get Victor's approval constantly. Nikki is even backtracking on Clare as she has encouraged her to move on with Kyle. Nikki has now backtracked and told Clare that she and Kyle are moving too fast. Clare is becoming confused, trying to please everyone. Will Clare end up allowing her grandparents to control her life and break up her relationship with Kyle? Will Victor's rants get him what he wants in the end? The Young and the Restless spoilers for the week of May 12, 2025 are here. Next week, fans can expect Amanda Sinclair to return. Damian Kane impresses Lily Winters. Plus, Phyllis Summers reaches out to Aristotle Dumas. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the CBS soap opera. The Dumas mystery is heating up, especially with Lily. As fans know, she demanded that Damian get her a meeting with Dumas. Damian reported back and said Dumas wanted to know the reason for the meeting and what Lily is after. That really caught her off guard, but Lily is the type of woman who grabs the bull by the horns. Meanwhile, Phyllis is looking to get back at Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra. Phyllis puts her plan in motion by meeting with Victor Newman. In a weekly preview clip, Phyllis has intel that she wants to sell to Victor. However, Phyllis wants something in exchange. Surprisingly, Victor considers Phyllis' offer. The very next day, Victor strikes back at Billy. Then, Phyllis reaches out to Dumas himself. Oh boy, this is going to get intense. The Young and the Restless spoilers for next week reveal that Amanda returns to Genoa City. Amanda's timing is interesting considering the issues with Dumas as Chancellor is involved. There is also how this is all affecting the Winters family. Speaking of, Nate Hastings will have doubts about Damian joining the family business. Later, Holden Novak calls Audra Charles bluff. Maria Copeland and Tessa Porter hit troubled waters. What exactly did Maria do, and will it really end Tessa's marriage? Clare Grace Newman puts the brakes on her romance with Kyle Abbott. She doesn't end the romance, but she does slow things down quite a bit. Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson struggle with finding a balance between work and their personal lives. Also, Nick Newman finds himself in familiar territory. Does this have anything to do with Sharon Newman? Nick and Sharon's rekindled romance has been teased, but there is always something that gets in the way. Will fans finally see a chic reunion sometime soon? In a deeply emotional turn of events on The Young and the Restless, Cole's final moments unveiled a devastating truth that rewrote the history of several characters. As his battle with terminal cancer came to an end, Cole chose to disclose a long-hidden secret to Victoria, a confession that would forever alter their family dynamic. In a quiet hospital room, filled with emotional weight and the sound of fading life, Cole, physically weakened and emotionally tormented, revealed that Clare is not their biological daughter. In a barely audible voice, he admitted that their real child had died in infancy. The girl they had raised as their own, Clare, was actually Jordan's daughter. His revelation was not just a moment of personal release, but a final attempt to give Victoria peace and truth before his passing. Victoria's reaction was a mixture of disbelief, devastation, and raw grief. Her entire understanding of motherhood, love, and family was challenged in a matter of seconds. As Cole passed away, his truth left Victoria grappling with betrayal, sorrow, and a collapsing emotional foundation. Meanwhile, Clare, having overheard the confession from the shadows, found herself paralyzed by the truth. She realized that everything she had built, every bond she had nurtured with the Newman family, was based on a lie. Her presence was no longer welcome, and the emotional fallout was inevitable. Victoria, heartbroken and overwhelmed, confronted Clare with accusations of betrayal, blaming her for Cole's demise and the years of deception. Clare's identity crisis intensified as she processed the collapse of her place within the Newman family. What had once been a life of growing acceptance and belonging turned into one of rejection and shame. With Cole's death, the secret they had kept together lost its protector. Clare was now exposed to the consequences and judgment that would inevitably follow. The aftermath of the confession didn't end there. In a later scene, Clare met with Kyle, desperate to cling to the idea of building something real amidst the ruins. She pleaded with him to help show her grandfather, Victor Newman, that they were united and serious about their relationship. However, Kyle, weary and realistic, doubted whether any show of unity or love would be enough to sway Victor's long-standing biases. Despite Clare's persistence and emotional resolve, Kyle reminded her that love alone couldn't erase history or ingrain distrust. He feared he would always remain an outsider in the Newman family, regardless of their intentions or efforts. This storyline arc not only dismantles the perception of Clare's identity, but also reveals the deeper emotional fractures among the Newmans. As secrets unravel and grief consumes those left behind, The Young and the Restless pushes its characters to the brink, forcing them to confront the past, navigate present trauma, and question what the future might hold. In a groundbreaking twist on The Young and the Restless, long-buried secrets resurface to shatter the foundation of the Newman dynasty. Nikki Newman delivers a devastating confession to Victor. Adam is not his biological son. This revelation destabilizes Victor's identity, legacy, and his decades-long investment in a father-son relationship built on blood, now proven false. Victor Newman has long treated Adam as a legitimate heir, despite their turbulent history marked by betrayal and reconciliation. His relentless efforts to protect, mentor, and shape Adam as a Newman successor were grounded in presumed paternity. Now, with Nikki's disclosure, that foundation collapses. For Victor, the emotional impact is profound. His empire, carefully constructed with his own hands, now feels tainted by deception. The betrayal cuts deeper because it comes from Nikki, his wife and longtime moral anchor. Her decision to conceal the truth has shaken Victor's trust and cast a shadow over their relationship. As Victor processes the magnitude of this secret, he faces existential questions about family, blood ties, and his empire's future. For Adam, the news is equally catastrophic. He has spent his life under the weight of Victor's expectations, believing he was destined to inherit the Newman mantle. Learning he lacks a biological connection to the man he calls father initiates a personal crisis that threatens his identity. This revelation not only redefines Adam's past, but also triggers a quest to uncover the truth about his real father. The storyline promises to pivot into a deep exploration of Adam's origin, with the search for his biological parent uncovering new layers of secrets, rivalries, and personal dilemmas. The uncertainty surrounding his true lineage intensifies the drama and adds complexity to Adam's already strained ties with the Newmans. Nikki's role in concealing Adam's parentage is central to the unraveling of the Newman household. Her choice to reveal the truth now raises critical questions. Why now? Could it have been avoided? As Victor wrestles with betrayal, Nikki must navigate the emotional and relational damage. Her marriage, once a stabilizing force, is now endangered by this monumental disclosure. Nikki must now confront the repercussions of her silence. The emotional toll on her, coupled with Victor's volatile reaction, places their relationship on uncertain ground. Her actions, though grounded in personal reasoning, could ultimately dismantle the very family she worked to protect. Recent episodes portray Victor as a man unraveling. Once known for his strategic composure and commanding presence, he now lashes out with unrestrained anger. His deteriorating relationship with Nikki and his inability to control the narrative around Adam have triggered a descent into paranoia and emotional instability. Victor's need for dominance, particularly over Nikki, has evolved into obsession. Her autonomy and associations with others ignite his fury, further deteriorating their bond. The line between power and possession blurs, transforming Victor from a patriarch into a threat to his own legacy. His increasingly aggressive behavior, marked by manipulation, threats, and public outbursts, alienates not only Nikki but also his children. The empire he once ruled through calculated strategy is now held together by fear and intimidation. As Victor and Adam grapple with the seismic shift in their relationship, the rest of the Newman family faces collateral damage. Siblings like Victoria, Nicholas, and Abby are left to navigate the fallout, questioning their own positions within the crumbling hierarchy. The Newman brand, synonymous with power and wealth, is now at risk of imploding under the weight of secrets, emotional rifts, and Victor's unraveling authority. The future of the dynasty hinges not just on bloodlines, but on the ability of its members to rebuild trust, loyalty, and unity. The central question now looms: is there redemption for Victor Newman? Can he reconcile with Adam despite the lack of biological connection, or will pride and rage sever their bond permanently? Adam's journey of self-discovery may provide new opportunities, but it could also widen the chasm between him and the family he once called his own. Meanwhile, Nikki must find a way to mend what's been broken, if it's even possible. The ripple effects of her confession could permanently reshape the family structure, business alliances, and personal relationships that define the young and the restless. In a groundbreaking twist on the young and the restless, Diane's long-hidden secret exploded into the Abbott household with devastating force. The emotional upheaval began when Diane finally admitted to Jack that Kyle is not his biological son, a revelation that shook the very foundations of Jack's identity and the legacy he thought he'd built. The confession unfolded in raw silence, punctuated by Jack's disbelief as he mentally revisited decades of fatherhood, from Kyle's childhood milestones to business mentorship. Jack's pain manifested in an emotional outburst, confronting Diane about her years of silence. Diane, tearful and trembling, claimed she had withheld the truth to protect Jack during his battles with the Newman family. But her reasoning only fueled Jack's rage. As the room filled with unresolved grief and fury, Jack demanded to know the identity of Kyle's biological father. Diane, struggling under the weight of the truth, finally named Victor Newman, Jack's greatest rival. The revelation landed like a physical blow. The idea that Victor had not only bested Jack in business, but also shared a paternal bond with Kyle introduced a new layer of emotional and strategic complexity. Despite the initial shock, Jack grounded himself in one truth: he had raised Kyle with unwavering love and commitment. Regardless of DNA, his role as Kyle's father was earned, not inherited. He resolved that Kyle deserved to learn the truth directly from his parents, not through rumors or scandal. Taking action, Jack initiated DNA verification and arranged family counseling to prepare for the emotional toll. Diane, recognizing the consequences of her concealment, committed to healing the family, even as her relationship with Jack remained strained. When Jack finally confronted Kyle, the moment was laced with quiet tension. Kyle, surrounded by his childhood relics in the Abbott playroom, was stunned. Upon reading the DNA report, he grappled with disbelief. Yet Jack's heartfelt affirmation of their bond, one built on love, not lineage, provided the grounding Kyle desperately needed. Kyle asked for time to process. In the days that followed, the Abbotts began private therapy to reconcile their identities and roles within the family. Diane shouldered her guilt while standing by both men. Meanwhile, the rivalry between the Abbott and Newman families ignited public speculation, but inside the estate, the three formed a stronger familial bond, one grounded in truth, not just tradition. Behind closed doors, they agreed to keep Kyle's paternity confidential. They constructed a plan to protect the family's reputation and company legacy. Kyle would discreetly step down as CEO of Abbott, retaining an honorary title and board seat to preserve his influence and dignity. Together, Jack, Kyle, and Diane developed a united front, crafting a narrative to deflect external scrutiny. As dawn broke over the Abbott estate, they gathered, exhausted but resolute. In that quiet hour, it became clear that the real inheritance wasn't tied to blood, but to loyalty, compassion, and the courage to face the truth together. This week on The Young and the Restless in Genoa City was filled with emotional drama, business schemes, and personal confrontations. Claire confronted Victor about her life with Kyle, which resulted in one of the most intense family wars in history. Lily pushes aggressively to bring Damien into the Winters fold, raising red flags with both Nate and Ivan. Phyllis, still reeling from being let go, sought revenge after she crashed Billy and Sally's bash. In the meantime, Adam and Chelsea struggled over how much they would go to protect their interests, especially with Victor dangling a media pullout of Billy. Tessa sensed something was deeply wrong with Mariah, and Sharon's frustration only contributed to the mystery. Audra's story unravels as Nate interrogates her for details about her funding. Diane and Jack tried to soothe family stress, while Chloe fought with Chelsea about her career switch on The Young and the Restless. Phyllis interrupted Billy and Sally's toast at the GCAC and accused them of toasting her death. She accused Sally of stealing her job and berated Billy for replacing his partners with girlfriends. Even Billy's attempt to appease her, Phyllis took an oath of vengeance before storming out. At Crimson Lights, she rallied on a double-shot espresso and a smoldering declaration that she wasn't finished. Meanwhile, Claire was hesitant when Kyle suggested they move into Adam's former apartment. Although surprised he had gone ahead without her, Claire agreed to view the apartment. At Society, Audra welcomed Nate back and reported a rosy update on her progress, until he inquired about Victor's investment. Audra admitted she hadn't secured the investment, and Nate warned her against disregarding red flags. Tessa also met Sharon at Society, and she got the impression that Sharon was not going to discuss Maria with her. She suspected Maria's lack of response was because something serious had happened on her trip concerning Ian. Sharon dodged the subject until Daniel showed up and distracted Tessa with a park lesson. There, Tessa complained of her discomfort and admitted Maria was hiding something. Meanwhile, Nick taunted Victoria about wedded bliss with Sharon, and that did not sit well. Their conversation grew serious when Sharon showed up wanting to talk about Mariah. At the Abbott residence, Dane shared her fears of belonging and how she tried to make the house her home. Claire, meanwhile, was cautioned by Diane against getting involved with Victor too hastily. Lily ran into Damien for breakfast and employed him at Winters, overwhelming him and shifting their dynamic. She admitted she no longer considered him a threat and would like to see him out of Dumas. Damien was wary and questioned her motivation. At Abbott, Billy informed Jack that he'd gotten rid of Phyllis in favor of Sally. Jack supported Phyllis's firing but wasn't pleased with her replacement. The brothers battled over the remodeling of Diane's home, which Billy said erased their father's legacy. Jack told him the legacy was in them, not in furnishings. Billy later admitted Dumas was stalling the meeting, and Jack warned him to be careful, especially with Victor watching. Lily dropped the bomb on Devin and Nate. She'd offered Damien a job and planned to have him work as an inside informant for Dumas. Nate was upset that she wanted his brother to be a spy, while Devin was more reserved but curious. Damien later told Holden about the job offer, and Holden warned him not to get too comfortable in Genoa City. Damien then called Lily to set up a meeting. Chelsea stood up to Adam on Victor's smear campaign at Newman Media. Adam admitted Victor was desperate to ruin Billy, but Chelsea told Adam to stop it. Billy did not acquiesce to Victor's proposal and demanded to see Dumas in person. Victor then pressured Adam to withdraw from the deal on the apartment with Kyle and Claire. Claire visited Victor alone and told him she and Kyle were moving in. Victor lost it, telling Kyle had pulled her away from him and promised to take care of this. Nikki admired Claire's bravery but wasn't certain if it was love. Kyle received an earful from Victor at Abbott later and hurried to tell Claire. At the park, Claire and Kyle made a promise to battle on for their relationship, re-establishing their bond. Elsewhere, Chloe spoke out against Chelsea for abandoning Marchetti and claimed Chelsea had fallen under Adam's spell. Chelsea tried to explain her actions, but Chloe would not hear of it. Victor, in turn, issued an ultimatum to Adam in the form of a threat: "Get out of selling the apartment or else."